Hi, and welcome to another video. This week is all about how I use reference photos in my work, as I've been asked quite a lot about where the inspiration for my work comes from, and whether I use photos. For me, it's a total mix. Most of the time I paint from memories or intuition, asking questions such as what would that colour look like alongside this one, and following my curiosity. But occasionally I do work outside, on plein air, or from reference photos. Today I'll be using this photo, which I took on my morning walk, and I was captivated by all the textures in the wildflowers and grasses and the cloud patterns in the sky. I want to capture this in my sketchbook, as it may spark some ideas for a final painting. I'm starting with a selection of oil pastels, which I've picked out to create some marks on the page for the flowers and grasses. This vibrant yellow and purple for the flower heads, and some white marks in the foreground and sky. I'm then going over the top with a green acrylic ink, which I've mixed myself, and the oil pastels will resist the ink, creating some of the texture that I'm looking for. I'm using this lovely mop brush to work with the ink, as it holds a lot of water, and I find the soft bristles work really well to create blurred edges. It's one of Jackson's own brushes, and it's called Raven. I'll leave a link in the description box below. I then like to manipulate the ink before it dries on the page with a larger flathead brush to create some directional brush strokes and smooth areas out. I'm adding in a few shapes to the horizon line, just pulling and pushing the ink around. When I'm using a reference photo, I'm not trying to represent exactly what's there, it's more to capture the feeling of what's there. So with the tree, I don't mind if I'm not capturing the exact shape, it's more a suggestion that there is a tree there. When I was on the walk, all the flowers were dancing in the breeze, and I want to capture that movement and energy too. Next I'll go on to adding in some heavy body acrylic paint with my palette knife, blending with the ink and adding some scratches and texture. I tend to paint from photos in sketch work to gather inspiration and ideas about mark making. Such as with this sketch, I had the idea to use the oil pastels under the ink to represent all the textures of the flowers, and I may carry this technique forward into a final painting. But when I'm doing my final paintings, I don't really tend to use photos. Instead, I'll use all of this information that I've gathered in my sketchbook. Now I'm moving on to the sky area, adding in some quick brush strokes and palette knife marks. I'll leave it here with the rest of the process and catch up at the end of the video.
injustice dead in the eye of time. Nobody's losing. Faces merge and change, but your face remains the same. The swallows will be here by dawn. When we're finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt. A significant life, just what it was needed. Clean in the blackest night, cloistered in injustice dead, and in the eyes of time, nobody is losing. The sparrows will be here by dawn. When we finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt.
So I hope this video has been useful, just giving you a quick insight into how I use photos as references in abstract paintings. It's more for my sketch work rather than the final pieces themselves, just to gather ideas about mark making and how I might represent something. I'd love to know how you use photos in your work And as always, thank you so much for watching. Catch up again next week.